Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Thanks for joining me today, and we are joined by a very special guest. It's Thad Beaty. It's great to have you here, man.
Thanks for having me. What a wonderful treat.
It's your third time here, you said, right?
My third time here.
But we finally got you to sit down on video.
I know, and it's fascinating to be here and just to see all the places. And it took me the first two visits just to discover which hall went where. And
Right.
the third visit, I'm able to wander and meet you and learn about the racquetball court.
The racquetball court, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, is that top secret, or is it okay to talk
You know,
about
you
that?
gave it away. Now everybody's going to want to come and play.
Yeah, they should, because you can have a meal, play some great gear, wait 30 minutes, of course,
Right.
for your food to sell, and then go play racquetball.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It is quite the place, isn't it?
It is wonderful. We are grateful that you guys do this, have these conversations. It allows us to hear from friends, to see some people that we have idolized our entire lives,
Sure.
or to learn from mentors, and it's a wonderful vehicle that we appreciate.
Wow. Thank you for saying so, and we're glad that you're doing one with us.
Thank you,
It's
thank you.
very
Glad
cool.
to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. So man, Sugarland since 2006.
Yes.
And music that moves, and all kinds of composing for all kinds of applications and things, and also Ironman, triathlete, and all of that whole world as well.
Yes.
You're multifaceted.
It's hard because I think within the past few years I've just decided, when people ask, I'm a guitar player at the end of the day, and that's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Just an average guitar player guy who's been very blessed and lucky throughout this journey to dabble into various things, and it all comes from just meeting wonderful people, having good relationships, and a door opens. And the Ironman journey was started from a scary place for all of us. My mother was diagnosed with cancer. We had a guitar tech who on the road was feeling ill, went to the hospital, and they said, this is not the direction we want to go, and see things moving. And so Kevin was our guitar tech, and he was diagnosed with a late stage cancer, and unfortunately survived about 6 to 8 months after that. And when you have a tour family and a tight knit group of people that have spent years together, it's crushing just to go through some of those things. And during that time, Music Cares, which is the Grammy Association's nonprofit, stepped up and subsidized his treatment. And I have been forever grateful for them. And I had this wild idea once that, okay, I can do one of these endurance fundraiser things that people do, where they go do an event and raise some money. And the goal I had was, let's just see if we can get close to paying them back for taking care of him. And that led to one relationship to another relationship, and the next thing you know, I'd done Ironman races, and we've gone on to raise I don't even know, 7 figures by now for just empowering people to decide to do something that they didn't know that they could do. And for me, that just comes from I'm just a kid from Mississippi who used to skateboard and play guitar, and never would have dreamed that I would have been able to do the things that I have. If I can pull it off, I think any person that wants to dive in and go for it has a pretty good chance of going further than they think. And so I always want to just encourage people to give it a shot.
Right.
We got one life. We're here. Give it all you got, and don't worry about all the details. They'll take care of themselves.
Right. I love it. That's very inspiring.
Well, it's I don't know. All I have is the evidence, but that's been, you do the hard work,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a loving and caring person. You care about other folks. You try to listen, and people tell their stories, and then that's what we're in. We're in the story business, especially Nashville, songwriting town, and now working as a film composer. That's what you're trying to do, is listen and tell stories, and the adventures that you go on are mind-blowing.
Right. So. Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, you kind of summarized very briefly there, but tell us a little bit about the story of how you came from Jackson, Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
To be in Nashville, and how you ended up playing with Sugarland.
Sure. I was in marching band and all those things in high school, and simultaneously was a baseball, skateboard guy, playing sports, and and you would go skateboard all day, then you'd play the party in your neighborhood at someone's house, their birthday. And this is when we were 13 years old, and I was in band at the same time, so somehow I learned how to read music through playing trumpet, which kind of translated to understanding at least what was going on in reading guitar.
Right.
And as I was a freshman in high school, there was a community college, Hines Community College, which is out in the middle of nowhere in Mississippi. And there was a gentleman named Dr. John Ingwerson. And he is a student. He's from the lineage of Segovia, the great classical guitarist.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I thought, I want to go and see if he'll meet with me and just tell me about what's going on. So I went and met with him, and he took me in as a student. And this is one of those things where I thought, well, never in a million years would I have thought, kid who only wants to play hair metal and Metallica and everything else under the sun, that I would go down this road of doing that. So I ended up studying with him for all of my high school years. He prepared me for college auditions. I ended up getting a scholarship and going to the University of North Texas, where I was determined to be a professor and teach classical guitar to all the other young budding skateboard rockers out there. And it just so happened that during my stint there, one job opened in the United States, and a gentleman named Dr. Stanley Yates got the job. He was at North Texas, and I thought, nope, that's not, don't want to go, just to see the level of expertise and brilliance and just the dedication to that craft, whether it's transcribing from a solo suite or those things. I was a rocker at heart, and so I just packed up, moved to Nashville, got a gig with a rock band, and here we are, some 25 years later.
Right. So do you still play? I still have my nails. I still play.
I go through, at the beginning of COVID, I grew them out and just started pulling out literature and going through stuff, changed all my nylon strings. And, but it's too hard. What I found was just too hard to keep them in like pro playing shape and just to live the life that I want, which is I want to, dig in hard, and so I'd always have one nail that would break from using a pick and scraping across the strings, or I'm doing something else and you've got one broken, and I'm just not going to go and get Lee press-ons or the shellacked stuff. And one of my neighbors is a mentor. His name is Jimmy Olander. He plays for Diamond Rio. He is incredibly brilliant, and he is a banjo player and is one of the most inventive Nashville guitarists that I could think of. And he's dedicated to the nails. And I always, every time I'm walking my dog or something, I see him out mowing his yard or doing something. I'm thinking, yeah, he looks tough mowing his yard right now, but I know he just got back from the nail salon.
Right.
Sorry, Jimmy.
No, that's funny. I've got super glue on my thumbnail right now. Actually, my index nail broke the other night. So
okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's just not as fun to play if you don't have nails, and you can't get the tone.
Can't get the sound, right?
Because we would have lessons in college where, okay, here we go. For the next 3 weeks, we're just going to work on meeting with. I stayed with Dr. Tom Johnson, who was from the Segovia line as well, and it's okay. We're going to spend an hour in today's lesson working on getting the shape of your nail right, and that's was once again it goes back to I just wanted to rock and have fun and tell stories and play songs, and that was more than I could handle. Yeah. Then the people that do that, I still follow so many people that I was in school with, or people that I see now that are on Instagram, and just the dedication to that level of musical brilliance and work is it blows my mind to this day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I'll break out something that would be the equivalent of the classical guitar version of C Jane Run or what C Spot Sit and clumsily fumble through that.
But it's funny how that stuff works back around that whole classical background, because you're now doing a lot of composing and a lot of scoring for things. And how does all that factor back around into it?
You know, I think from being in marching band and you had to be in ensembles all through college, and I just being a classical guitar major, there weren't many ensemble options, so they would make you go to a choir or do something else. So I was able just to go be in band and play trumpet. So just understanding the ranges of instruments and what sections do or how the orchestra breathes I think I was immersed in that, and your ear just says this is how it works, and
Right.
this is where it should be, and so you just chase it and thinking as a songwriter. Melody and then working with film is such a different piece, because you're only one very small component, but it has tremendous weight. And if you have ever seen a film and then you turn the music off or the dialogue off or it goes silent, or the composers that use silence, or it's truly, I don't even know how to describe the connection, but simultaneously you have to disconnect from it as an individual piece and know that a producer who's not necessarily a musician is going to come in and take the stems, and they might have, you have section by section or instrument group by instrument group, and they just see in an edit, this is going to work better if it's just these pieces, and they're in post recreating what you've done,
Right.
but it's making something one step further, something bigger. And so you have to kind of go through it, and I know I'm rambling about this, but it's just wonderful to be able to go, I have to love this, and it has to stir me emotionally. I also need to see the cut and feel like if the dialogue is gone, what I've written is sharing the same sentiment that the people on screen are sharing via dialogue. And then also simultaneously be ready for them to want nothing to do with it.
Right.
And so it's a wild world. Or it's one of those things where you get a cut of a show, and they give you 2 or 3 words, go. And so you spec it out, and it might be you and 2 or 3 other writers working on it. And so you'll do a handful of minutes of the show. It might be 6 to 10 cues. Each of them are 30 seconds long, whatever it may be, and you dial it in, you're spot in, you're ready to go. You feel like it's awesome. You turn it in. They say, it's too twangy, and then you see the cut when it's done, and you think, man, totally missed it, because I went, retro Black Keys vibe, and they picked some guy doing piano dance music.
Right.
So it's made me realize that I'm probably on a quest from now to the rest of my life to learn to listen and communicate. And this is more than just if my wife watches this video and sees that I'm attempting to learn to communicate better. But it's a fun world.
It has to be, yeah.
And it's one that I think more people need to get involved in. I think we're in a season right now in the film composing world where you have, just like the music business impacted, or you mentioned the magazine business throughout the years, where kind of the options are, I'm going to spend $1 million and get Back in Black for my action scene, or I'm going to pay $100 and get Needle Drop from this library of thousands of songs. And so what's missing is everything in the middle, which is having a conversation with a producer or a supervisor and them saying, I really want something that has this vibe, and then to be able to hear it and change and give them something that's unique, that has artist value, that has players on it, that has all the things that we come to expect from a record or a release. And I think that's an avenue that so many young musicians or young writers could investigate and dive into. And it's fun to talk to new composers and new writers and think, great, this is everything that I know, which means nothing, because everything is totally different, and now we're going for the same job, but it's great. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's
Sure,
it's a world that I think will only benefit right now from artist personalities coming into that space, and I think it's something that we need.
Right. Right.
So,
So some would certainly say that playing guitar with major artists and now film scoring, and your wife is a bass player, Annie Clements. She's out touring, and you have a 17-month-old
yes.
as well. And so you kind of got it dialed, right? I mean, it's kind of
No,
all settled in.
no, no, not at all. And I think I was talking to the team here just yesterday about that, and it is more of, we are lucky to do what we do, and what we do, you can't just say, I'm a guitar player. You are a musician. Mm-hmm. And with being a musician comes, yes, the ability to play what you need to play for the gig. But there's thousands of people in Nashville that could play the gig and probably play circles around you at any point in time. But that's only one small facet of it. Mm-hmm. It's the hang. You know, are you someone that can let go and have fun and be vulnerable around other people, not just musically, but just life, because you're living life with people. Those are family members. It's mm-hmm. the preparedness and the professionalism. It's an understanding of how to listen to production people that are thinking about staging and all the other components. And then outside of that, it's what are other places where music happens. It's in film, it's in sporting events, it's in all these things, and it's not to say the word hustle in any way, because I don't consider it a hustle. I just consider it being, I'm a musician, and so one day I do a session and I play guitar on something, and the next day I have to learn 30 songs because we're doing a showcase for the Girls of Nashville show, which is a completely different skill set. It's just like, let's learn 30 songs. The next day is 2 travel days to get to a gig on the other side of the country where you're just hanging out with people in vans, and to playing in town. There's just a lot of opportunities to do things, and each one of them you need to pay attention to or be aware of.
Right. And
so it's socially and musically, and it's so much more than just learning to shred or play fast or have some kind of ridiculous skill with just your instrument.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Sure. And it of course, so many want to be side players with artists and things, and I think the questions always come up. You mentioned being prepared, dealing with auditions, those kind of things, and I guess I wonder as well. Do you get to pick the gear that you play? How much freedom do you have as someone playing with an artist?
Everything's really different, and it's really fun the way that it works now. So you have some artists, like as a guitar player, I want to have 2 amps really loud. That's just what we do. That's what we want. But no one else on stage has any desire for that. And over the years, I've learned that you can get great tone and not be loud. There's probably friends of ours watching this that think that I've still not learned that, but my wife, once again, being another one, if she's the bass player on the other side, she will inevitably tell me to turn it down. But some artists want to have a quiet stage, and everything's run through MIDI, or they're running main stage, or everything's triggered from Ableton, so that we need to be on Kemper Axe-Fx, Helix, the Quad Cortex, whatever the case may be.
Right.
Something that can live backstage and talk to the computer. Other people are, you can have an amp. We're going to go IRs and just take your signal, but you can still have your amp. And it just really just depends. Other ones are fly dates where you don't know what gear you're going to have until you get there, and most of the time it's pretty fun.
Right.
That's the being comfortable with the unknown, because you're going to show up and you're in the middle of nowhere, and who knows if the backline guys even turned those amps on in months.
Right.
They just wheel them out of storage and pull them up there, and you hope that they work. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Mm-hmm. So it's a fun kind of roulette wheel with some of those things.
I imagine so. Yeah. So what about the musical side of it? You mentioned learning 30 songs in a very short period of time, or even just preparing for a tour and those kind of things. Do you have techniques for learning and remembering as much as anything, a whole catalog of songs?
Yeah, everyone is so different in that. And just for me personally, it's interesting because I've had the advantage of doing multi-song, like house band gigs, and my wife being on them at the same time. And usually when we do those together, I end up frustrated and wanting to just be angry with her because I never see her practice. I never hear her do anything. And I'm down there just, woodshedding because I need to have it all in my brain, because there's nothing worse than being on a gig and the drummer's counting it off and you're going, I have the signature lick and he's counting off and I have no clue, what it is. And that's happened more times. I just got that's kind of the scared, nervous chills just went over my body just thinking about that right now because it's happened. I know, but everyone has a different technique. So my wife is able to, being a bass player, she's processing via numbers constantly, and so her brain is just working that way. She can hear songs. She has perfect pitch, and so she just knows the key center. And so she's thinking in numbers. And so she's also normally doing primarily background vocal stuff. And she will go through, she'll know the numbers from what she's playing on bass, know the numbers of what she's going to be singing. And she thinks that way. And for her, she doesn't know the difference in somebody. And she would just look over me and be like, can you sing the fifth here? And it starts on and goes blah, 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 blah. And as it passes through the four chord, I need you to do the sus. And so she's just talking and it sounds like calculus. And it's not that. That's just how her brain works. Me is, I'll chart it out, and then I'll put that aside just so I have a framework, and then I want to understand kind of as the film score kind of side of me wants to say, I'm the guitar player. What are the other instruments here? Am I the only guitar player? Is there a keyboard player? And the answer to those questions determines what's next. If I'm the only guitar player and there's maybe an organ player or just one other kind of melodic instrument that's doing chords, then I understand the responsibility on me is to be able to either A, cover everything, or just focus on the handful of parts that might be signature. And so I always want to go into a rehearsal for a gig prepared to do what needs to happen to cover the dynamic emotionally, to be able to help the song breathe, because you're hearing it from a record which has been produced, which might have gazillion doubled guitar parts and an orchestra and a keyboard guy doing this and that, and so if there's synth lines, I always learn them. If there's an organ pad doing some kind of interesting, fun voicing, you want to learn it and be able to get there, hear what everybody else is doing, and say, how can I not just supplement this, but how can I take my instrument and be a contributor to the emotional dynamic of the living and breathing so that the singer can come in and feel fired up and ready to go.
Right.
And that's my process and how I think about it. So for me, like the last thing that I'm going to do is learn the lyrics and learn the background parts that I would be singing. On the other side of that, my wife's doing it the same way, but thinking about it lyrically and what the song is saying and where it's going, and are we going to belt this section? And I need to tap dance. So her brain is, I need to groove with the singer, and I need to groove with the drummer. And so she's constantly bridging those two worlds, which is, I love watching it because it's something I can never do. It's mind blowing. So. It's just the way Nashville works, I think,
right.
and everybody has their way that they do it. Everybody does a brilliant job of it. It's hard to go see someone that's not great. Of course, you see average, but a lot of times there's always somebody there that's gone the extra mile and has added a special touch to it, or whether it's a writer or a musician.
Right.
It's always really, really fun to be a part of.
Right.
And inspiring.
Yeah, I imagine so. And I think sometimes from the outside, people look at it or watch a video or watch a concert or whatever, and you think, oh, well, they're just going to play the chords, and then now it's solo, and now I get to really get up there. But there's all that other stuff that is really even more important probably than the spotlight moments.
We're lucky that we've gotten to be a part of some of the mentorship programs that some of the brands do. Gibson has done one for a number of years, and working with a girl now who's in Gibson's mentorship program, and she's 13, 14 years old, like a the next Jimmy Page. And I've brought her into some of these sessions where we're having to learn 30 songs. And the first thing I'll say to her is, hey, I learned 30 songs. Guess how many guitar solos I'm going to play? Maybe 3, 4 tops, and they all are 8 bars long. So it's, 90 minutes worth of music and maybe 90 seconds worth of guitar solo. So what's more important? The tone or the shred? Knowing these parts or shredding. And so you finally go, eureka. And that's, it's like football. You might be the fastest guy in the world, but if the other guy can't throw you the ball or know where you're going, then it doesn't help any. It's we're moving as a team, and so it's fun to see a lot of those things come alive.
Yeah, I bet. I imagine so. So tell us a little bit about the scoring that you do. Do you receive a film in the mail, or then you just start writing music, or how does it work?
Well, they're all different, and it's really a fun adventure. So at the beginning of the pandemic season, the television industry was having the same issues that we were with music. They can't go film shows. They can't be together and edit suites, and any show that was in the realm of an essential business could still shoot. So if you had a show about mechanics redoing cars, or a motorcycle show where they make choppers, or any number of shows that are going to be in a garage or something like that, they could film, and with restrictions and totally different, of course.
Sure.
And so at the beginning of the pandemic, I found myself in a position where, hey, we need just a straight up aggressive, just guitar driven riff rock. And so I did a 50-song contract of just awesome, whether it turned out awesome. I feel that it was, but for the awesome part was, yes, for the next 50 songs, I just get to just rock and stuff that you can't do the rest of. So that was just, hey, we're going to be editing all these. We just need songs in this tempo range, 90 to 115 groove rock, and they just let you go. Other times you'll receive a cut. Just a small piece of the film, and say, we need something here. The producer is saying that it needs to be ambient and it needs to be retro. And it'll be kind of words where you go, ambient and retro, whoa. And so you're trying to decipher what that means. And sometimes you get musical references, sometimes you don't, and you just go for it. And most of the time they have someone else speccing it out as well, where they're having a week to get it turned around, and you ingest it, you see what's going on, and you do what your heart says that pick. You're saying this says this musically to me, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And the big piece that I've had to do just personally is to think, I'm putting my heart and soul into this, and it might not be right for what they're doing, and that's okay. I still want to love what I did. And maybe they can use that another time. Or maybe the supervisor I'm working with learns that I can do a little different thing than they thought I could do the time before. Other times you'll get just a reference saying, we need something that is going to be ballpark of this feel. And so you go, well, does that mean the drum feel, the guitar feel, the what? And you'll get, color words that'll let you know. And there's never there's never the same way that it works.
Right.
And I think that's what's fun about it. It's always an adventure. It's very vulnerable. It's nerve-wracking for me, just because I want to do great. I want to do the best that I can. I want to do something that I believe in, and just having to know that there's chances are they might not like it, and that'll be okay.
Right.
And I don't know if that answers that question fully, but there's a lot to it, and it's one of those special fun ways that now that everybody is able to do a lot of that stuff from a laptop or from home, it ends up there's a world open to a lot of people. The other side of it is I miss going in with people and doing it as a band, or writing it together, or being around people. And that's the one piece of it that I haven't quite figured out, especially with the season, is how to do this, but also the interpersonal thing, the dynamic with other musicians and other human beings is vital for me emotionally and mentally, and it's something that I've missed dearly during that time, and I didn't know how much that was the case until was able to do a handful of gigs here and there, and so I think just the scars of the season, even though I'm getting to do what I love, what I feel like I'm pretty okay at, even though I'm able to go to the studio and noodle on a guitar, there's still that piece of relationships and what making music with other people provides for you that's so good for your mental health. And I think it's like a sports teams. You know, it goes back to that. That's kind of what we are, is the chemistry and they always talk in sports about the flow state, and they talk about this team has the momentum right now. Well, what does that mean? They're not doing anything, it's momentum. Well, okay, that's kind of nebulous, but once you're in it, you realize it's magic, and I've just kind of decided, and this is Nashville is, the co-writing capital of the universe, and I've often thought, wow, if we could go to Washington, D.C., and get people on both sides of the aisle who are just sending things on Twitter, lambasting one or the other, and just say, here's the project. You guys have to get together, you one side, you the other side, and you have to write a song together. And you have to perform it in front of the world on C-SPAN. They would learn to communicate, because in songwriting, you have to go and have a line that you're willing to say, hey, I got this idea, this line, and be vulnerable. And they say, that gives me an idea. What if instead of it being this, it was this? And you then can bounce back and, oh yeah, we can tweak it this way, and the collaborative process, and then you come with a song where you've told a story, and people are moved emotionally, and they see all those things, and the safety in a true compromise is powerful. So that was my project. Was I'm going to go to Congress and sit before them in the middle of the aisle and say, all right, you and you and you and you got an hour. Let's write a song and you perform it for C-SPAN. Right. And it doesn't matter if you can sing. The point is, you have to both be vulnerable because you want it to be good.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's my random save the world via songwriting.
There you go. There's no better way to do it.
Yes, I agree.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So we should talk a little bit about the reason you're here at Sweetwater,
Sure.
which is you came in to demonstrate some products.
Yes.
And we've got a few of them here, including several of my favorites, actually, that I'm also a big fan of.
Yes.
So you're here for TC Electronic
Yep.
and Rockett pedals.
Yes.
And we've got the plethora, and we've got it's a dude, right? And we've got
It's
one
a
of
dude.
the,
Yep,
and
a
this
dude.
is one of the Jeff Beck Archers, which
Yes.
I just love. Those are fantastic.
I
So-
sat up for this one. It was
Yeah.
start getting excited.
Tell us a little bit about it. Yeah.
So Rockett has done some really cool things. Their history with the Klon world is pretty unique in that had a very interesting kind of partnership where they were doing some production sides of things for the Klon team, and through that they built these about as close as you really get to it. They have a couple of different ones that's just diode changes. Like this is the diode from era to era. So the schematic, everything's pretty darn close. Change the diode. But the pretty awesome thing about this JB Archer is that they took Jeff Beck's Klon and were able to say, boom, let's tear it apart, do the real deal. And this is basically that, down to the doodad. And there's certain germanium transistor in there that is super unique to that pedal. They were able to find some new old stock, a small bucket of them in someone's closet somewhere.
Right.
And they've produced this pedal which just kind of takes all the aspects of the other Archers and has the magic sauce. Like when everybody thinks, and they talk to their wife and they say, you know what, I really want to go on eBay and spend $5,000 for this Klon because it does blah, 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 blah for under $300. This is going to get you much closer, and your partner who you're working on a budget together would probably be happier with this.
Right.
But it's pretty magical. The plethora is something that I mean, most of us have seen all of the TC pedals throughout the years, whether it's the flashback or the tremolo pedals or the reverbs and all the things that they've done as single pedals. They've been able to stick it in one awesome box, and you can literally, just like many of the digital units, you can go through and pull any of those pedals. You can use their tone print technology. You can add a loop. So if you want to bring your Archer in and put it in between two different pedals in the loop, you can do that. It's mind-blowing. You can do it all from your phone, and it's the same sonic prints that you're getting from those pedals throughout the years.
Right.
And so this is a sky's the limit pedal. I love the tweakability of it. I love the layout and how visual it is, and it feels tactile, like just like the traditional pedal would.
Right.
You can get to things, and it feels very much old school in a package that is 2021 technology.
Right, right. And I think it even has an insert loop. So if you wanted to put
Yes.
JB Archer in there, you could do that. If
You can put it, and you can decide at what point in between, say you have 5 stomps going, you can locate it at any point.
Right.
So if you want to run it in between, after a compressor, or if even you decide in the process of building that board you want to move it, you absolutely can. You can also just have that as one of the switches to open the loop and close the loop. It's
very cool.
It's
yeah.
pretty remarkable.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Right.
Pretty
right.
remarkable. You know what else I just learned?
What's that?
I just learned this, and I've been using this wonderful Polytune tuner, the clip-on one, forever. So I have like a bucket of them in the studio, and I'm sad to admit this, but I didn't know about Polytune.
Ah.
So for all of you out there, all you have to do is plug this guy onto your headstock, and you strum all your strings, and it has a meter that shows you which one of your strings is out of tune.
Switch all 6 at once.
Yeah. And so you can just say, something's not right, and you can go for it.
Yeah.
So this is, now that I'm a parent and realizing that instantly things are multiple generations behind me, and I'm used to tuning one string at a time, I will be wrestling with but the world these days is able to tune 6 strings at one time.
You're right, right.
And so I'm transitioning from what I'm comfortable with to new technology.
The other secret with that is I've got probably half a bucket full of them at home also, and is it'll do a Strobe Tuner mode where you can switch it and it'll actually do that super accurate strobe thing as well. So man, that's a very capable little piece of gear.
What I was told was it's 0.1% accurate.
Yes.
Which is,
Yep.
from a metering standpoint, the most accurate
It's crazy.
tuner.
It is crazy.
And there's no reason to go much further than that.
If you're out of tune, it's probably not the tuner's fault.
No, it's my fault most of the time, not paying attention to something. Yeah.
So last but not least, we've also got the Dude pedal, which is one of my favorites.
Okay, this is, I would call this kind of your amp in the box, get up and go, and it's modeled after, I believe, Robin Ford's Dumble.
Right.
And you click that button and you go, whoa. It just gets big and full, and it has a really smooth gain to it, and it's just fun to play. This is the solo for days pedal, if you ask me. What's your, give me your take on it.
I the same for me. I'm a big fan of that style of amplifier. We'll never own a real one, but that style of amplifier really appeals to what I like to do, and it, like you said, it's very amp-like. And the one feature this has that many other pedals that are trying to do that don't have is it has that fat control that allows you to really either add some mids or take some mids out, which is really cool.
What I've learned recently is that they were able to snag one of Keith Urban's Dumbles, and that was the AB side by side. They were working with that amp in development of this pedal to kind of get to the next phase of getting it just right.
Right.
that was part of the journey, which is, I mean, it definitely is that's a pretty rad pedal.
Yeah, I love it too. It's also very responsive when you turn your volume knob down,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel it doesn't feel compressed. It feels like an
Right.
amp, like the front end.
And
of an amp.
I've never played a Dumble. I've never even seen one in real life.
Right.
But when you hear something that sounds great like this pedal, you think, man, if you ever get the chance, it might be
Yeah, it'd be
might
kind
be
of
fun to go.
right.
Yeah.
So you were here. You did some morning meetings where you were showing the pedals, some of the products to the sales engineers, and you've been doing what we call office hours, where you're
Yeah.
kind of they open up a room and you set up in there, and then the sales engineers come in and learn about everything that's going on. It's very cool.
And I think as a sidebar, one of the things that I was blown away by being here was just the passion of the sales engineers. And you set up and you're doing these office hours, and I'm basically becoming the jukebox. And sales engineers are coming in and asking you, hey, can you play something a little more rock? Hey, can you play something a little more jazz? Can you play something a little more blues? Can you do whatever? And they'll just ask you, and they'll just tweak. And the whole reasoning is they want to understand the dynamics of it and what this pedal's voice is. And they're doing that for each pedal. So with the J Rockett stuff, we've got the whole pedal board there, and guys are just coming in, clicking, and they want to be able to hear the difference in the various archers. They want to hear the difference in these, so that when people call in, they can answer the questions and know the recommendations to make. And it really gave me kind of a new sense of, wow, I truly respect what these guys are doing, and they feel like they're a part of the team when you're needing to find something that you can't. And that goes all the way from super digital stuff to analog stuff to amps to guitars, and it's something that I didn't fully understand until I saw it in person. And then it gave me a level of faith and trust that I can call my guy here and have a conversation, and he's going to steer me in the right direction. So it's I've never seen anything quite like it, and it's super cool.
Well, thank you for saying so. We appreciate that. And
yeah.
Thank you for making the trip up from Nashville and sharing your time and your experience and your wisdom with us. It's man, you're covering a lot of ground with all the stuff that you do and navigating everything that's going on. And like I said, it's very, very inspiring. So.
Oh well, thank you. And I think I think just being here and seeing the world of musicians and every day going by. I don't know. This is, that doesn't have to necessarily be like we're talking official, like put it in the video. But the sales engineers just coming in and having the metal guy come in and the jazz guy come in, and them you hand them the guitar and they want to play for a second, and you go back and forth and you hear what they're doing. It's an inspiring place, and it makes you not only want to run up your credit card balance, but it also makes you realize how many things you can do with the same thing. And that's really special to be able to take one guitar into office hours and have all these sales engineers from different backgrounds be able to get all these different sounds out of one or two little boxes with just a handful of simple knobs. And you're learning to go for it and experiment, and it's just fun. It's a fun atmosphere and a fun place.
That's awesome. Well, I hope you come back soon and do this again.
I think we're coming back in January.
Nice.
And I'm supposed to bring my wife this time because she's the
awesome.
The one who has all the cool answers to the question.
Well, this has been a real pleasure. We did a Zoom panel for GearFest, but it's the first time we've met in person. It's just been really a pleasure.
Yeah, let's do more of the not only just for me because it was so much fun, the sideman panels. Please make that a part of GearFest for years to come, just because there's some amazing musicians who have hearts of gold that can share with us all kinds of stuff to help us get better as people and as musicians.
Right. Yep. Well, I know we got great response to that panel, so I expect it's on the agenda.
Good.
Right on. Thad, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming in and again sharing your time and your wisdom with us. Very much appreciated. And thank you for joining me today as well. We appreciate you being here. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater.